Welcome to a very special live episode of Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Saturday, September 28th. I'm your host, Tom Moore. The Michigan State game is today, not literally today. That's kind of the bit of the show. The game against Michigan in 63 days. We are live in Lansing, Michigan, where the Ohio State Buckeyes are going to be arriving shortly at the hotel represented by the brick wall behind us. It is the first road trip of the season. It is the first Friday team arrival of the season. And Tony, if you had, on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of numbers of things that could not work exactly correctly for the first team arrival of the season, we're at a solid 8.5. But Tony, we're also here in Lansing, Michigan, so really, it's not so bad.
It's not so bad. We are here. The weather is nice. It's a bit windy. You guys may end up hearing that throughout the show, but we are waiting for the team arrival, which is scheduled for the 5:45 area. And so we're with you until then, and then after that as well. So go ahead and continue throwing some chats, your super chats if you want, and we'll get to them. I see Ryan Dawes asking how the weather is. Right now it's 73 and it's breezy.
Yeah, it is breezy. It is not. And if you walk around the corner of the hotel, we're in this spot right here, which is not the most scenic area, but this is about where the Buckeyes should be walking into the hotel. It's also around the corner from the worst of the weather. The wind is coming from that direction, blowing that way, and there's a big hotel between us and the wind. So this is actually less windy than it would be if we walked about 30 feet that way. Yeah. So this is, all things considered, not bad. The weather for tomorrow, early returns are, it's going to be rainy during the day, but probably mostly not too bad at night. Maybe, not too hot, not too cold. Yeah. It's a little bit of a Goldilocks kind of game.
Yeah, low 60s, I think, by the middle of the game or so. And I wonder, I think as I'm here now, the biggest concern is the wind to me. They throw, Ohio State throw short and they'll run the ball, but it's hard to escape the Northwestern situation that we had a couple of years ago.
Tyler says he doesn't want to hear about the weather. That just sounds like an excuse. Michigan State has to play in the same conditions. I don't think anyone was suggesting that Michigan State had to play their half of the game in a dome. It's just what is the weather that might impact everyone's ability to throw the ball to some degree or whatever, and it should be fine. I don't think this is going to be a weather game necessarily. No.
Well, and as Ryan Day says, everybody has to play in the same weather.
Exactly.
So it's not a concern.
Lisa Sims says the weather here in Columbus sucks. So we're experiencing better weather than them. Yes, I got a notification from AEP just a short time ago that the power was out at my house, and the estimated time of restoration was, we're working on it, which is like, well, thank you, but also could you be a little less specific, please?
Could not possibly.
Super chat from Ryan Dawes. Thank you, Ryan. Will you find out if Tyleek traveled when the bus arrives, or do you know already? We will find out when the bus arrives. I'm going to turn the camera around if Patrick wants. If Patrick is okay with being on the show, Patrick can stay right there. But I'm just going to turn the camera around. That's where the buses should be coming in, right down there. You see there's one bus over there already. That's like an extra that for presumably the extra folks who are already here, who have already arrived. But the buses should be coming in right down there, and the players should be walking right down that sidewalk directly towards us when they come in. So that's sort of the setup here. They should be walking right past us. When they start coming in, I'm going to get my phone. I'm going to dial into the show, go walk over there. It's usually like 2 questions with Ryan Day. So we're not going to get to ask him a bunch of stuff. Question number 1 for sure is going to be, did Tyleek Williams make the trip? And what is his situation for them? What did Tyleek Williams? It's gonna be quickies, Tony.
Yes.
Did Tyleek Williams make the trip, and will he be playing? And then, did everyone else make the trip? Did anyone else not make the trip among the sort of expected people? Those are probably mostly going to be the areas of focus. That's generally stuff that you find out here, and we will obviously get a chance. The players, as they're all walking by, I'll try and make sure we have a camera shot where you can sort of see all those guys. So hopefully you guys will be able to, sort of answer your own questions to a certain degree.
Us.
And Tony and Kevin can also keep an eye out for guys as well. So yeah, that's actually about 90% of the point of us being here, is to be able to answer those questions. Every time we do one of these, I'm sort of flashed back to the 2020 season when this was like the question was, everyone is a wild card. Who do you see getting off of the bus? Who do you see walking into the hotel? Because like when we were down in Miami for the New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl, and then Miami for the national championship game, that was like the big story was, okay, there have been rumors about these 16 players. Who do you see getting off the bus and who do you not see getting off the bus?
And in Miami, there was like 2 entrances and they went to like a side entrance and you've got a camera rolling and you're like, did I see Tommy Togiai?
Yeah.
Was that and I think one of the games, it was like, is that Jeff Hafley? Is he helping out in this game? So the camera work is...
Is that Jeff Hafley? No, that's just a Secret Service guy for some reason. I don't know. Yeah, that's let's see, I'm just kind of scrolling through here. Yeah, a lot of people saying it's raining pretty heavily there. That is, I saw there were a bunch of teams in schools in Southern Ohio. They canceled their high school football games for tonight already. So, yeah, that is not...
Buckle up. Batten down the hatches.
Yeah, it is homecoming weekend in lovely fair Granville, Ohio. So, should be a wonderful night for the Watkins Warriors and their wide receiver, who is a prospect whose name is Jaden... I wish I remembered his last name. Anyway, Ricketts, Jaden Ricketts, coming to lovely Granville, Ohio. I think it is Jaden Ricketts. Yes.
No, I wasn't talking about the player. I was talking about my knee.
Oh, well, we'll get you some vitamin C in just a little bit. Let's see, real quickly, Geiger Lisa, just want to send appreciation for all the hours you put in to keep all of us so informed. So many hours in front of the camera, undoubtedly. Many more, traveling, writing, editing, etc. Yes, it is.
Many more.
We do have many hours. This is the busy time of year, but this is the fun time of year. This is why we do it. Doreen says, "Thank you, Buckeye Huddle, for making the trip. We appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for being here. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were deciding whether it was worth coming up Friday night versus it's a night game. We theoretically could have driven up tomorrow, but yeah, this is.
I mean, this is the point of coming up on Friday.
Right?
Yeah. To get here for the team arrival. And as you're watching, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. We would appreciate that. Tom, you should have mentioned that.
I should have mentioned that. That's on me. Lisa Sims says, I always wondered when our team has to travel, does the whole team go on the road together, or how is it determined who goes or who doesn't? The NCAA has a road travel limit. It's 74. Sources close to the program. Thank you, Patrick. Sources close to the program saying 74 people on the travel roster. And the travel roster it's the guys in your 2 deep. And then you've got to have, you kind of have to have at least a spare. So if your kicker gets hurt, you have to have someone else who can kick. Maybe that's a punter who can also do place kicking. This weekend, it sounded like they were, at least as of Wednesday, strongly considering having Austin Snyder handle the kickoffs and Jaden Fielding handle the placements.
But they would probably both travel regardless.
They would probably both travel regardless.
The emergency nature of things.
But then I wonder, 74 guys, it sounds like, boy, that's virtually everyone on the team, and you're just going to leave home a few offensive linemen. You know, the true freshman offensive lineman or true freshman defensive lineman who probably aren't going to play. But you got a bunch of walk-ons who are traveling too. So it's not everyone. They don't generally travel with 5 quarterbacks. Now,
well, that was
Aaron Nolan just lost his black stripe. So does Aaron Nolan make this trip, or does Aaron Nolan lose his black stripe? And they say, congratulations, we'll see you on Sunday.
I think all 5 will be here, but those are all difficult decisions because it's like we don't need all 5, but then there are also political ramifications of leaving guys at home sometimes. So there are different things you have to weigh in doing so.
Geiger Lee says, additional thanks to your families for your time away from them. No. They say thank you for pulling us away from them. Thumbs up, everyone. Don't forget. Yes, we appreciate that. Ryan Dawes says, why is there a limit for the visiting team? Whenever there is a limit on anything for the NCAA, the answer is to save money. And Ohio State, of course, could pay to have 150 players on the roster and have a whole of 150 players travel. That's for Kent State and Ohio University and New Mexico State.
These rooms aren't cheap.
Correct. So. Yeah. And you have to charter, you either charter a plane or you fly commercial. Most, Ohio State charters a plane. When Delaware State went out to Hawaii, they were flying commercial and they missed their flight. So,
that's right.
It's much more for the Delaware States of the world than it is for the Ohio States of the world. Because realistically, you're not going to go past 74 in terms of the number of people who are playing. There are true freshman offensive linemen on this Ohio State team every year who are not going to be ready to play in a game. So you don't need to bring all those guys. You don't need to bring your whole practice squad. The guys who are running scout team during the week. You don't have to bring all those guys.
There are a handful of freshmen that don't necessarily need to, like Max LeBlanc, tight end, doesn't need to be here. They've got 5 other tight ends that they use. Like that's a guy that would need to be here. I would assume all 4 scholarship running backs.
Oh, I would think so. Yeah.
Mylan Graham and Demarion Witten don't necessarily, but I assume Mylan Graham might be. But like David Adolph, I'm sure will be here, and he's a walk-on as a receiver. So some of those walk-ons start to take the slots of the scholarship players, and a lot of the freshmen they watch these games from home.
Mm-hmm. And the reason, and I'm sure you're wondering, well, why would you bring David Adolph if you could bring Mylan Graham and keep Mylan Graham happy? David Adolph is on the punt return team, and David Adolph is on I think he's on the kickoff return team, and he's one of the up guys for that. But because you might be the 4th string guy at X or Z or wherever you are. If you're the first team guy on the punt return team, well, you're a first team guy, so you're getting on that on that plane. Doreen says because the NCAA makes dumb rules. That is sort of the evergreen answer to a lot of the questions on this show.
When in doubt, go with that one.
Yeah. Jordan Capello says Caleb Downs who kicks punts and PATs really kickstart the Heisman campaign. I mean, listen, if he can do it.
Well, I mean, we've never seen a Heisman campaign based around defense and place kicking.
That's true.
This would be a new one. It would certainly garner attention. But then, like Prime would have Travis Hunter doing it, and then you would lose that kind of attention. Demarion Witten can kick. We know that he did it in high school.
Mm-hmm. Lisa Sims, not taking it one game at a time. Shame, Lisa. How long is the flight for the team to Eugene when they have to go? It's going to be. I mean, they're going to fly direct. Not all of us are flying direct. Some of us get to spend a quarter of a day in the Phoenix airport. Why? I don't know. Because the 9 a.m. flight that we booked turned into a 5:30 a.m. flight. Why? Well, we're out of yada yada.
What do you think? Is it a 5-hour flight?
It's probably about that. Yes. So, boy, that's a fun question. How about we indirectly reference something, and it's $200. Odysseus says $500 worth of Zima for Tony.
There you go.
So that's lots of questions. We'll get to the Dave Portnoy, Michigan quarterback thing a little later on. I guess let's talk a little bit about, while we're at Michigan State, to cover the Ohio State-Michigan State game, let's talk briefly about the Ohio State-Michigan State game. This is a game where, once again, Ohio State is, a 24-point favorite? So
isn't it a lot? On the road?
It's a lot, but it's also, I can absolutely see a path where they beat Michigan State by 50. And that's not just that's not just being a homer. That's also just, hey, Michigan State has a quarterback who's turned the ball over. And if the Ohio State defense puts a couple quick touchdowns on the board, and or the Ohio State offense has short fields to work with, that could snowball pretty quickly. Because then if the threat of the quarterback run goes away, then the dual threat quarterback becomes a mono threat quarterback. Yeah. And, the only quarterback really threatened with mono ever has been Sam Darnold. So it just doesn't feel like, it feels like if Michigan State falls behind early, if this is 21-0 in the second quarter because of a turnover,
they can't play catch up throwing it.
Correct. Yeah. That is sort of run. It might be in the water statewide up here. It just doesn't, I don't think that's necessarily what's going to happen. And I think there's absolutely a path where this game is a 10-point game in the third quarter as well. If Michigan State can just kind of hold the ball, do what everyone tries to do against this Ohio State defense, keep the chains moving. This should be better skill kind of across the board than they saw against Marshall last week. And Marshall was able to do that occasionally. So, it feels like there's a path for Michigan State to keep this a close competitive game for 3 quarters. And there's a way that this game is over 10 minutes into the game.
Well, having watched the Michigan State-Boston College game, I was pretty impressed with Michigan State defensively, their aggression, their tackling, the way they got after the run, and the way they got after the quarterback as well. Now, that is the only Michigan State game I have seen. Did not watch any of the Maryland win, but I liked what I have seen. I just think 24 is a lot, but also that is the same number that Oregon is favored by at UCLA tonight or tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And UCLA seems like a much lesser team
than
Michigan State.
Yeah, but Oregon has not been as consistent as Ohio State. So Oregon has played better teams than Ohio State, but Oregon did not look great against Idaho, and that was week 1.
But then they destroyed Oregon State 2 weeks ago, their last time out. But
no, not COVID, just allergies. Sorry.
And you're also getting trees blown right into your face.
We're getting leaves, pollen, everything blown directly into our face. The sign directly in front of us says that it is the Royale Ballroom. Yes, the Royale with Cheese Ballroom. It is in America, though. This should be the Quarter Pounder Ballroom, which it is. Welcome to the first game of the off season. First game of the
not the off season.
First game of the first game of the season. We are expecting the Buckeyes in about 10 minutes, give or take.
We'll start hearing sirens.
So, you will sometimes hear sirens with the. Usually, every once in a while there is a police escort for these games. It kind of depends. Like we'll look at one here. I think they had one at Rutgers last year because the thumbnail for this video on YouTube is Ryan Day getting off the bus at Rutgers last year because I need something that looked like, hey, the team arrival. I was like, well, this will do, I suppose. And they did have a police escort last year for that, so we may hear sirens at some point. Drowsy Dragon wants to know when will we see Will Howard go vertical? Will we see Will Howard go vertical more in this game, and will we see more of Arvell Reese at linebacker?
Well, the vertical part just depends on one, how crazy is the rain tomorrow, if that is an issue, but also are there 2 safeties deep, and if so, then no, you're probably not going to see that. They want to, but they're not going to do something that they're not going to play into the defense's hands in doing so. If they start to run the ball well, and then as safety comes up, I do think you'll see some of the downfield stuff. Still waiting for Will Howard to be that consistent downfield thrower, but at this point, you can throw an 8-yard curl, and it becomes a 65-yard touchdown. So the need to stretch the field that way isn't as imperative right now because they're getting those yards elsewhere. And the running game is doing just fine. So it's like the defense is being stretched as it is.
Yeah.
But that is one of the next steps, that downfield stuff. I think we're all anticipating that it's coming, but not if the defense is going to keep 2 safeties back.
Right. We keep talking about defenses having to pick their poison against Ohio State. The poison they keep picking is allow Ohio State to run. And Ohio State had 2 running backs with over 12 yards per carry last week. If they have 2 running backs, if the main 2 running backs play the whole game and have 12 yards per carry, they will win every game this year. I feel relatively confident saying that. So at some point, someone has to decide, okay, we're not going to let the running game beat us. And that's when that opens things up downfield. It's not that he can't throw the ball downfield. It's not that they don't want to throw the ball downfield. It's, if you're running an RPO, and you're not throwing the ball downfield in an RPO, but if you're running an RPO, the whole point is the defense can't be right. Well, the defense is choosing to continue to avoid the downfield pass, so the right answer is much closer to the line of scrimmage, whether that's a pass or a run.
Well, and with that, like the running game is hitting the deep shots, 86-yarder, 40-yarder. So as long as that continues to happen, you're still getting those chunks that you'd like to see out of the deep passing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people, Lisa says, still have power here. Thankfully, lights just flickered. The winds are crazy, so hopefully it stays on. Yeah, hopefully everyone's power and all that cooperates there in Ohio, and a lot of places south of Ohio, I think, having gotten it substantially worse in Ohio, and it sounds like it's not great in southern Ohio and even central Ohio right now. Speaking of places where it's not great, Jordan Kapler says, I thought for sure that seat for Mark Pantoni was meant for Tom. Must have been a mix-up. If you didn't see this is something of a long-running bit on these trips where the crew from Ohio State, there's like a pre-arrival crew from Ohio State that's been up here already, and they get stuff ready at the hotel, and they get stuff unpacked at the stadium, so they've got the locker room all laid out and all that kind of stuff. And there's sort of like this running gag where they set up Mark Pantoni's nameplate and a chair for him. Like instead of having a chair and a nameplate in the locker room, they set it up in the bathroom, so he's like right next to the urinal or whatever. So that's what Jordan is referencing there. They did that again this trip. It is one of those just like sort of funny recurring inside baseball bits that they will do. Who gets the cot of shame? Xander wants to know. Well, Tony and I tied last week, so heroically, I have volunteered to take it by arriving last in the room after both of the beds have been taken.
That is correct. So that's on you. You could have gotten here earlier.
Yes, I could have, but I couldn't have gotten into the room. So
Sounds like a you problem. Just turn the doorknob.
sure, just kick the door in.
Yeah.
They love hotels. Love that. One weird trick to get into your hotel room early. Jordan Kapler says, "I know there's been some frustration with linebacker play. Do you think it could be solved with Cody changing his first name to John? Now that would be more of a defensive end, but
I mean, he played linebacker in the NFL.
he did. That's true. Yeah."
But no, I think this is going to be an interesting game for the linebackers because they're going to continue, you would think, to get better. They're certainly going to get more experienced. And Cody Simon has a ton of experience as it is, but this is still, I mean, he started in 2021 a little bit, and he started 5 games last year. So this, I think, is now his 12th-ish career start. So, he's getting there. The confidence is high in him. I think it's the other position that is still growing. And Sonny Styles has had some issues, but again, he's completely new to the position, so you would expect that he will continue to progress. But then you've got Arvell Reese, who is just seemingly a natural. I saw a question earlier about is he going to play more? I don't think he's going to play less.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be a situation where he takes fewer snaps. Now, this game will start to be a truth teller in terms of who is really in the rotation, because it's a Big Ten road game. And I would assume Arvell Reese will be in there in the first and second quarter, depending on how the positions shake out. I don't see him being one of those guys that is relegated to, okay, it's a 28-point game now, we can put somebody in. I think he's in that circle of trust right away.
Yep. Hang on, I got to fix something. Sorry. There we go. Okay, sorry. If you're wondering what I'm doing off camera, I'm getting my phone dialed in because the team is expected to be here shortly. So just getting that all set up. Xander says Tony is very fortunate. Sounds like. Listen, when isn't that the case? I mean,
we don't have time. We do not have time.
Get to travel with me. Get to hang out with me. Get to talk to me on podcast all the time.
All the time.
I mean,
literally all the time.
I don't want to use the word fantasy camp, but I don't know how else to really describe this.
It's the opposite of space camp. Landfill camp.
Let's see. Is there a Big Ten? Geigerly says, "Is there a Big Ten stadium that treats the press better than others?" That kind of depends on what you're talking about in terms of the just setup. Michigan State is a relatively new press box. The media room underneath is fantastic. You got great photo area. There's a ton of space for photographers. Great post-game press conference area. So the setup there is great. We've talked about the food ticket situation before, where normally most places have just a buffet and you can come and get whatever you want. Michigan State says you get 2 tickets, no more than 2, and you can use them you can use 1 ticket on a bratwurst, or 1 ticket on a hot dog, or 1 ticket on a whatever pretzel, but you get 2 tickets and no more than 2 tickets. So,
but at least there is a concession stand just for the media. Well,
yeah,
and everybody else in the press box, which is not just the media; it's staff and some hangers on. Yeah.
So there's elements of Michigan State that are like great, and then there Rutgers is a relatively small press box. It's fine. It's not antiquated like Penn State's is. But there was one year they had a carving station in the press box, and we had prime rib or something.
I think one year was prime rib. One year might have been another Thanksgiving
turkey,
dinner or something.
Yeah. So the answer is, and then there's Nebraska, which is a nice press box, but also they give us pizza after the game. So there's a lot of ways.
Michigan State does as well.
Oh, that's right. Well, that'll be
when we're in
2 a.m.
the press box.
Yeah, 2 a.m. pizza. That'll be great.
Notre Dame did.
That's true. But then they kicked us out an hour after the game.
Well, that was an issue.
Undermined all of their good work. So yeah, there are lots of ways to win us over all fields, it turns out. So who knows? Yeah, Doreen says excited to see the team play outside of the horseshoe. Yeah, I think everyone is looking forward to seeing Ohio State play on the road. Josh Simmons had one of the great lines this week where he said it's great to go into someone else's house and eat their food and just go in. Like that's something you hear from guys is one of their favorite things is to go into a loud stadium and make it quiet. Like it's great to win at home and have the fans cheering for you, but it's also kind of fun to just go into a place where everyone is booing you at the beginning of the game, and then the stands are 3/4 empty by the middle of the 4th quarter because you're up by 30 points.
Just go into somebody's kitchen, stand there with the fridge open, grabbing stuff out of the drawers and then going and checking out the pantry. What are you putting out here? Got some good snacks. And then, do you have something like in the laundry room as well? Do you store some stuff there? Yeah. Make it your own. Make it your own home.
Lisa says, because we'll probably beat Sparty and Iowa by 2 touchdowns or so. So the first true test will be against Oregon, who feels the second best team in the conference. Plus, they will be undefeated when Ohio State plays them. There's a way they could lose. I don't think there's really a plausible path to Ohio State losing to Michigan State. I think there's a way that a lot of stuff goes wrong for Ohio State, and they win a 10-point game against Michigan State. They could lose to Iowa the week after that. There's a way that Iowa defense gets enough turnovers and really stymies the Ohio State offense. I'm not expecting that, but it's at least plausible that Iowa's, I think, the first plausibly losable game on the schedule, and Oregon's the first game that's relatively close to, I think, to a coin flip.
Well, I'm not going to talk about a Michigan State game and say there's no plausible way to lose this game. Plus, 2017, we were in Iowa. 2018, we were in Purdue.
Urban Meyer is not walking through that door.
And that is one of the things that Ryan Day has done is he has put the hurt on everybody he's supposed to put the hurt on. And so, 24 points for 20-point favorite for a reason. I think they're going to get the ball back from Michigan State quite a bit. It's first road game in the Big Ten for Will Howard. Now he's done well at Texas. So that has been that's one of his best games as a Kansas State Wildcat, was a close loss at Texas. But
you're not relying on young guys. There's not a lot of young guys making the first start. Jeremiah Smith making his first start. Tager Shabola making his first start. Now, Tager Shabola is a third-year player, so he's not young, but you've got mostly veteran guys, mostly guys who've already been up and in East Lansing, who know the stadium, know the team. First year for Jonathan Smith. Walk me through the scenario where Ohio State loses this game. I think I can see a scenario where this is 34-24, say, something like that, and there's some stupid turnovers, or it's 28-21 or something like that. I can see that. I don't see a way that Michigan State holds Ohio State to 17 points, and I don't see a way Michigan State scoring 30. So,
you're going to need some turnovers, maybe a special teams, and Ohio State special teams has been, questionable.
Yeah.
I'm not here predicting.
Yeah.
I went with 34-13 to give you an idea. I'm just wondering if the offense is going to light it up this week. Just because this is a better defense.
Right.
So I want to see it.
Yeah, I think I picked something in the neighborhood of 38-10 or something like that.
Copy.
Well, I did it on Tuesday. Mark sent out the email very early this week, and I immediately responded. So I have no recollection of what my actual numbers were. I think it was something in the neighborhood of 38-10. But that feels like about right, where this is a close game for a half, maybe into the third quarter, and then Ohio State eventually the talent wins out, and you got Aiden Childs who makes one mistake, and even if you just make one mistake, that you can't make a mistake. Aiden Childs has to play a game where he rushes for 6 or 7 first downs and also doesn't turn the ball over. Like that's what sort of the table stakes for the conversation where you're going to have that Michigan State.
You're asking him
late.
You're asking him to play his best game against the best defense they've faced,
right?
Which is a very tough ask.
And I think,
but the potential, he has very high potential.
The potential is there, but what does Urban Meyer say? It just means you haven't done it yet. I think we can have an Aiden Childs conversation next year. Maybe if he's around in 2 years, we have the conversation again. This year just feels like year one for Jonathan Smith, year one for him starting, Aiden Childs starting here. It just feels like the infrastructure is just not in place right now because they had to kind of pull the plug this time last year and start fresh. While we're waiting for the Buckeyes, who are now 5 minutes late, welcome to the first road trip of the season. The Buckeyes are 5 minutes late. Geiger Lee says, any buzz up there for the Michigan alum, Dave Portnoy, talking about putting $3 million a year, putting up $3 million a year for a top quarterback.
Is he an alum or just a fan? Is there
either
just a member?
Either he's just a fan, or we have to have a conversation about the Harvard of the Midwest thing. They're gonna have to have James. Well, I was gonna say they're gonna have to have James Earl Jones revoice.
You want to have
sources close to the program inform the Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning podcast that he did in fact go there. It's too bad James Earl Jones just passed, because otherwise I would be calling for him to revoice the "This is the greatest university in the world" thing that they play before each game. Lisa Sims says, I saw someone saying that Sharon Moore was willing to pay $10 million for a top 10 quarterback. Allow me to assure you that any NIL conversation that is you're going to pay $10 million for a top 10 quarterback, $10 million for just about anyone is probably not accurate unless maybe it's the most incredible player in the world and you're spreading that out over 4 years, maybe. But even then, that's a lot. I mean, Ohio State, everyone was clutching their pearls and calling for their fainting couches when Ross Bjork threw out the $20 million number for the entire team, and this is this groundbreaking number. So the odds you're paying $10 million for one guy is not in alignment with that reality.
And I remember the Cam Ward numbers being talked about were like $2 million. So
yeah,
you're not, but a lot of the information I think was coming from the Cam Ward camp to try to drive up his price and the interest in the teams that were interested. So no $10 million thing. I would doubt that. And really, Michigan had an opportunity to go get a portal quarterback in the spring,
right,
in January, and they didn't do it. So
well, and I don't think that was a money thing. I think that might have just been so who's going to be coaching this team? And the answer was, I don't know. And so, yes, Paul Chidester wants to know if I'm missing a hockey game this weekend. I'm missing one hockey game this weekend. I drove up separately so that I can then drive back separately. Yes, so I can drive sources close to the program back to Columbus so they can watch a British soccer game on TV for some reason. English, sorry. But yes, we'll be back for a second hockey game.
We maybe we'll talk more about the Dave Portnoy thing after team arrival. But
yeah. Let's run through some quick score positions. Sage, Ohio says 38-16. That seems entirely realistic. Dodd Draco says 42-17. That's also in range. Drowsy Dragon 49-13.
What about the
69-3? That seems unrealistic. Drowsy Dragon says 49-13. That's where if Ohio State's +2 in turnovers, I could see 49-13.
Now, is that the halftime score?
Yeah, Market X says 45-17. This all feels like it's very much in, I think we're largely in the same ballpark with a lot of these. Troy V says 45-6. It's, I think anywhere in that range is, you're talking about on a spectrum of how good is Ohio State and how mistake prone or mistake avoidant is Michigan State.
What's Ohio State's scoring range in this one? Like 24 to 63 or like 30?
It feels like if they turn the ball over, realistic worst case scenario, like if they turn the ball over 7 times, sure. Like if it turns out the ball is made of Crisco, then sure, they could score 13 points. But
pigskin,
it's probably worst case scenario is like 24 points. Best case scenario where they're +3 in turnovers and also score a touchdown on special teams is like 56, something like that. I don't think they're getting to 70 almost no matter what.
Well, and they would probably wouldn't try to. But what's the range for Michigan State then? Worst case 0. Yeah. Best case 31.
If Michigan State gets if Michigan State's +3 or 4 in turnovers and you score twice on defense and you get another one that's that you return into the red zone and you get a field goal out of it, so you get 17 points off of turnovers, and then you also score a couple times and it's 31 is maybe their best case. So it's like there is an overlap where Michigan State scores 31 and Ohio State scores 24, but that's like a 99th percentile outcome and a 1 percentile outcome for Ohio State. That Venn diagram
barely touches.
Yeah, those circles maybe just barely touch.
But you said if Michigan State is +3 in turnovers, which would mean Ohio State would have to turn it over like 5 or 6 times.
Probably, yeah. You're talking about an absolute disaster, which we have seen. We have seen that happen at times. Market X says Aiden Childs is going to create a dazzling touchdown for Sparty and a couple for Denzel Burke and Lathan Ransom.
Very possible.
I think that is very possible. Yeah,
because that towards the end of that game in against Boston College, Chris Vanini from The Athletic, who is a Michigan State grad or fan, was like, "There's only one way on that last drive. There's only one way this game is going to end. There are 2 ways. Aiden Childs is either going to throw a touchdown to win it or an interception to lose it." And the interception came.
Yep.
Because that's just the highs and lows with him.
Drowsy Dragon says Penn State, Illinois should be a good game. I think Bama will take down the Dogs. Penn State, Illinois is going to be interesting. I
don't understand that line.
What is the line?
Well, it's between 18 and 19.5.
for Penn State.
Yeah. Yes. That's a lot.
It's a lot. That is really a lot, and
It's in Happy Valley.
That's one of those someone knows something lines.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's like the Michigan USC line from last weekend, which.
But still, USC was favored in that one.
They were favored, but I think everyone was thinking they should have been favored by 17. And what we maybe found out was LSU is maybe not as good as we thought.
But I have a lot of respect for Brett Bielema and what he's done in Illinois. And they're a tough out. They're certainly a tough blowout.
Yeah, for sure. Troy V says if Michigan State gets 31 points, I'm going to rethink on my possession and how good their defensive is.
They would need help from the Ohio State offense.
Oh yeah, they would. I mean, if I'm saying 31 points, but it probably involves 14 or 17 of those coming from turnovers from the Ohio State offense, which it's hard for the Ohio State defense to prevent a pick six or a scoop and score or whatever. It just that feels like a real extreme outlier kind of result.
Still no word on the Ohio State arrival.
No.
I've not received any text from nobody else has.
No.
They have
landed. When did they land? Do we know? Oh, okay. Well, they have sources close to the program told us 3 quickies, and one of them that was that the plane has in fact landed. The Buckeyes are on the ground in the state of Michigan, so that is positive news given some of the travel uncertainty I think probably happening elsewhere in these United States of America today. Ryan Dawes wanted to know is Charles going to run wild on the D, and then CW says I watched the highlights of the part of the BC game, Spartan PC game. Charles is a long strider and pretty shifty. Was impressed with his running ability.
Yeah, no, he's got some explosion to him, and he can escape, but he's always trying to escape, and sometimes that leads to a 14-yard loss. It could be a 28-yard gain, it could be a 14-yard loss.
Yeah,
but he'll keep plays alive, which is going to be a test for the Ohio State secondary as well to stay with their guys, because there are going to be some scramble drills. I don't know how long he's going to hang in the pocket. I don't know how long, if they're going to instruct him, second read, it's not there, go. And just keep ahead of the chains, because there will be plays. He will give up some sacks because he's trying to create plays if they try to limit that. But also, do you want to limit a playmaker like this? And it's like, well, he's got 7 interceptions on the season, so I kind of do.
Well, it seems like if you're Michigan State, this is not a game you're going to win with a high floor quarterback. This is a game you're going to win with a high ceiling quarterback. You want, if you are the big underdog, you want the high variance game with lots of turnovers. If the turnovers are 0-0, Ohio State wins, like period, full stop, end of story. If there are 6 turnovers, if there's 2 turnovers in the game, I'm at least willing to entertain Michigan State keeps it close. If that's all you tell me.
Yeah.
There's 2 turnovers in the game. If there's 4 turnovers in the game, that increases the likelihood of a big Ohio State win or Michigan State potentially winning. The higher variance favors the underdog, I think, in a lot of these cases, because Ohio State can just methodically drive, because they can just out-talent you, and it's not going to be pretty, and no one's going to be happy about it, but they can just absolutely grind out a 31-14 win that's going to leave everyone unhappy on our post-game show.
Like, try said 34-13.
Yeah, it's going to, that's going to be just kind of a really grumpy 4-0 post-game show.
The best.
Just to be clear, Dodd Draco says, have they arrived? No, the team has not arrived yet. No, they are on the ground in the state of Michigan. Their plane has landed. They were supposed to be arriving here at 5:45. They have not. So we are now 5:59 here on the East Coast. So whenever they do arrive, we will.
We're not going to talk through it.
We will. No. I'm going to get up. I'm going to walk over there. I see. Oh, they just. Oh, well. Never mind. I was going to say I see some of the TV folks walking over, but they were just doing a live shot over further in the parking lot. So turns out it doesn't mean anything.
No, but don't worry. When they arrive, you will know. We will let you know. In fact, there will start to be a little. If we see some sirens or some lights, we'll let you know.
Well, you'll know when I stand up.
Right. Where's Tom going? I don't know. I don't know where he's going. He doesn't tell me anything.
Listen, no one's going to be more surprised than our audience that me leaving and being replaced with Kevin is good news. However, in this case, it will be good news that the Buckeyes have arrived. That will be your sign that the Buckeyes have arrived at the sources close to the program indicate that Kevin Noon has one thing to say. What is it, Kevin?
Tom, you are number one.
I am number one. Thank you, as always. Geiger Lee says, how are your score predictions based on the higher rotation we've been seeing this year compared to recent years. I don't know that the rotation is what is maybe making me slide score predictions down as much as just limited number of plays and limited number of possessions.
Yeah, that's huge. And then also, this is the first real opponent. No disrespect to Marshall, but this is the first FBS Power 4 opponent for Ohio State. It's on the road. It's a conference game. I was going to say it's a team that's familiar with Ohio State, but I don't know how many players on this team have played against Ohio State.
Yeah.
But it's a road Big Ten conference opponent, and so that's why you dial everything back. Now, if this is C.J. Stroud, you keep everything raised up because he lit up Michigan State like nobody else. But that's not what this is, and I still want to see more. I want to see Will Howard continue to do what he's doing.
Yeah.
I think this will further prove that he's not going to take any kind of step back, and I'm not waiting for that. And even if it does, again, it's the opponent as much as it is anything else. And we'll see how good Michigan State is. They have some players. Now, do they have enough? Are they going to be consistent throughout the game? Those are all the other questions. That is why Michigan State is who they are right now.
Yeah, I think you could see. I think Ohio State just needs Will Howard to play a Will Howard game. Well, they do not need Will Howard to play an incredible game. They do not need Will Howard to throw for. Do you want to come on?
No.
We just had an offer for someone to come on and maintain the average handsomeness of the show, but no, we're good. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah.
Just non-competes.
No, it's. This is a game
Please,
where
we don't go to your job. Probably
yet.
Yes.
There is, I think. This is a game where Ohio State doesn't need anyone to do anything remarkable. They just need people to just. This is the coaching cliche game where it's just do your job. No one needs to do anything crazy. Just do your job and do your 1/11th, and they'll be fine. There's not any kind of outstanding, incredible performance needed. They just need to not do anything stupid, basically.
Yeah, but the thing is, like nobody needs to be outstanding or crazy. Like, but you still have players who are going to be.
Yeah,
that's
right.
That's kind of what sets the difference between the two. And this is going to be Jeremiah Smith's first road game. He's going to get to experience a new environment, and I am expecting a pretty good crowd. And I think we talked about it a couple days ago, where maybe 10,000 Ohio State fans. There's going to be some strips of red in there and some red throughout smattered throughout the green. But again, it's going to be a new environment for him, night game. I'm interested to see how he reacts to it.
Yeah, he is the freshman who isn't a freshman, and no one thinks he's a freshman. He doesn't act like a freshman. This is a chance to maybe have it be a little bit of a freshman moment. I think it's very beneficial that he's getting the first road trip out of the way before the Oregon trip. This is, I think, a schedule that worked out great for Ohio State because this is a little bit of a training wheels road game where, okay, you get on a plane. It's a shorter flight, but you get on a plane and you stay in the hotel and it's a little different. And you get to the stadium and it's a little different. And everyone's wearing green and it's a little different. And 2 weeks from now, we're having a very different conversation out in Eugene, and there are probably about 4 times as many people standing with us at the hotel in Eugene.
Different shades of green.
Yeah, slightly different shades of green. But this is a game where it's a little bit training wheels. Like the dad hasn't let go of the back of the bike seat yet. You're pedaling and look, I'm doing it. I'm riding a bike. It's like, well, sort of. It's going to get a lot harder a little sooner, up there where the pavement ends. But we'll see where that ends up. Christopher Sauer says Coach Alan Clark, defensive assistant, just shared a Instagram post at the airport in East Lansing. Yes, they are, in fact, here in Michigan.
I was promised 5:45. Well, I was promised 5:30.
Yeah. Hummus Hero says, super windy and rainy here in Columbus. Hopefully this doesn't end up in East Lansing tomorrow night. My understanding is it's going to rain during the day tomorrow, but not necessarily impact the game.
Yeah, I was looking at AccuWeather, and it's spotty throughout the evening. That was this morning. I'm sure things have changed with the way this wind is blowing. Things might get through pretty quickly.
Yeah, it could be, and I don't think. I don't think it's going to be the weather you're seeing in Columbus. That's not going to take a full day to get up to Michigan. I think a lot of that is going to be moving
right up 23, and
yeah. Now the Ohio State Highway Patrol may try and slow that weather down some, but Tanya Burton says, "Do you consider Ohio State to be one of the top tier of teams in college football right now?" Do you know anyone who doesn't consider Ohio State to be one of the top tier of teams? I mean, the objection you see when people have Ohio State at third or fourth or whatever, fifth in the rankings is, well, they haven't played anyone yet. It's not that they're not good. It's just if you're doing a pure resume ranking, absolutely it's legitimate to have Ohio State lower than third or fourth or fifth or whatever right now. But that's purely based on the teams they've played and not based on anything about the team.
Right. And I do wonder, what do you consider, whatever anybody considers the tier one, however many teams you have in that tier, the vast majority of people are going to have Ohio State, whether it's a 3-team tier one or 4-team or a 2-team. Like almost everybody's going to have them in there. Now, I will say if it's a 2-team, you might see a Georgia and a Texas and then an Ohio State, but there's no reason not to include Ohio State based on everything we've seen to this point, everything we know of the players that they have. No reason not to include them in whatever the highest level is, other than I don't want to.
Right, and you can very legitimately include Georgia in that top tier.
I saw them,
Georgia annihilated Clemson,
but they didn't annihilate Kentucky.
They sure didn't annihilate Kentucky, and it has become a very trendy pick to take Alabama over Georgia for tomorrow night. So Georgia may have a loss and an ugly win by the end of Saturday night. That's a possibility, and they do not have an easy schedule the rest of the way.
Really difficult schedule. If they lose this one, they could lose 3 on the season.
They could, and that it's amazing. Everyone had sort of settled into Georgia is going to be a number one team in the nation, and they're still very talented. But there's questions there. I think everyone looks at Ohio State. Ohio State fans look at Ohio State and go, well, they're not perfect. They have, I have a little bit of a question about the right side of the offensive line, and boy, I don't love the interior defensive line depth, and oh boy, the linebackers, I got some questions. Georgia has some offensive line, like not problems, but it's not super solid. Right. Georgia does not have incredible playmakers on the outside. There are flaws to Georgia. I think there's flaws to every team in the nation right now, which is what's worth keeping in mind.
Well, even now, if you look at the one, like who is the one team that you don't want to play, and I don't. If somebody says Georgia, it's because of Georgia's history. It's not because of what they've seen this year. If you just look at what you've seen this year, I think maybe the two most popular answers would be Texas and Ohio State.
Maybe, yeah, and Texas probably got a little bit of a boost last week with Michigan beating USC, because then it's like, okay, so Michigan's not going to go into complete free fall. If the thumping Michigan that ends up being a 9-3 Michigan team instead of an 8-4 or 7-5 Michigan team, that it looks like a pretty darn good win. Yeah. That's going to be one of the better wins of anyone on the.
Tom, have the buses shown up yet?
JT Mike says, when are the players arriving? The answer that we were told is 23 minutes ago. Maybe we missed them. They're supposed to be walking about 4
other
feet
side
that
of
way.
the building.
Yeah, no. If we miss them, everyone else, the entire rest of the Ohio State beat is
They'll
here.
They'll have to come back around and do it for TV.
Yeah.
You don't want to upset the anchors.
Yeah, so they are in, just to reiterate, they are on the ground in Michigan. It's 6 o'clock on a Friday evening, so there might be some traffic between here and.
I thought you were going to go into Piano Man.
Isn't it 9 o'clock?
On a Saturday.
On a Saturday, yeah. I was going to say, it doesn't. 6 o'clock on a Friday doesn't sound right.
Yeah, that's the alcoholic version.
Oh, okay. AM or PM?
That's the farmer version.
Christopher Sauer says the weather won't be a factor if we ground and pound the ball and pass when we have to and hold the ball tight. And that's going to be some of that's going to be up to Michigan State. There was a question earlier about will we see Will Howard chuck it deep? If we don't see Will Howard chuck it deep, it's because Michigan State is trying to play a couple deep safeties, and then you will see Ohio State probably ground and pound it.
Yeah,
and keep it tight.
I'm interested to see them do that against a Big Ten opponent and see. Chip Kelly is very, very confident in this running game, and so there's no reason to start throwing it all over the place when they can throw it short and they can go long, win the surest way, as we talked about before. But just little passes, the screens, the wide screens that are also part of the running game. Michigan State will be aggressive, I believe, on those. So you've got to be careful on throwing those too wide down the field. Tom, you're looking at me like there's something I should be looking at. No, I'm just looking at you and thinking about the fact that we waited to start this because, we want to have time to talk after the show, after the team arrives. We don't want to have too much time before the team arrives because then we can talk about what we heard. And then now they are now 25 minutes late. I thought we were going to go until about 6:10.
Yes,
after we got done talking to Ryan Day.
Yeah. Usually these are about an hour, and
if everybody could just chill for the next 30 minutes. We'll be right back.
This is the fun of trying to do live things. This is why the TV people do like 2 minutes and that's it. And
this is why nobody else is doing this.
Yes,
that's why we're here for.
Yes, exactly. This is an interesting point from Hummus Hero. This team might be better built for bad weather than recent previous teams. Anyway, and this is a team that certainly feels like they have a lot more answers on the ground, and that's a combination of a whole bunch of things. The offensive line is better than it was last year, better than it has been in some recent years. The addition of the quarterback run threat has given them something that they haven't had. The two running back tandem is fantastic, and Chip Kelly's run scheme has been. You put all those things together, this is a substantially better rushing attack, but also with the way Chip Kelly's been aggressive with the RPOs, there's variations on those run plays that then, now you're doing something to stop the run. Well, okay, now we'll take the pass. I keep thinking I'm hearing sirens.
Yeah. But this is Lansing.
It is.
To that point, though, this is the best rushing attack right now since 2019, 2020. But obviously you had Justin Fields as part of that.
Mm-hmm.
But the backup in 2019 was Master Teague.
Mm-hmm.
The backup here is not a backup. 2020, it was Trey Sermon and Master Teague.
Yeah.
So, like, the running backs, all due respect to J.K. Dobbins, I'm not diminishing him at all. I'm diminishing the depth behind him. But there's more depth. There's, I'd say, more creativity. And still really haven't seen exactly what Will Howard can do. We saw what Justin Fields can do the first game he played as a Buckeye.
Yeah.
When he went 53 yards or whatever against Florida Atlantic.
Yep. Sandra wants to know, is the field they're playing on synthetic? No, this is one of the rare natural grass fields in the Big Ten. Not that many of them. But yes, this weekend, the Buckeyes, when we were at practice, they were out, we were adjacent to practice. They had crowd noise piped in to simulate the road environment, and they were practicing. Sometimes they practice on the turf field. Sometimes they practice on the grass fields. They're practicing on the grass fields this week just to be prepared. They have two of both, two of each. So if it is a turf field, they can spend the whole week practicing on turf. If it is natural grass, they spend the whole week practicing on grass. And it rained enough this week that they will have practiced on some wet grass as well. So that's potentially going to be beneficial.
Tom, I don't want to produce this show, but I wonder if Kevin could go over and talk to that man in the orange vest over there who's waiting for the Ohio State team bus to arrive to find out, hey, when is that Ohio State team bus going to arrive?
Dan, can you smack Kevin in the back of the head because he's not paying attention?
He's talking.
No, the answer is no.
The answer is no.
That sounds like work. Wolverine Gage says, go Spartans. Boy, cats and dogs living together. Strange bedfellows.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the fact that there might be this like weird kinship between Ohio State and Michigan State fans in the tailgating lots on Saturday, because like Homer's "Don't you hate pants? Don't you hate Connor Stallions?" It feels like there might be a little bit of. No, I think I'm reading too much into it. I saw one of the TV guys grabbing a microphone off the camera. But
do you want me to try to talk to Kevin again?
Maybe.
No, he's still talking.
Okay. Christopher Sauer says, as long as the team brought their own water, yes,
for sure.
That is I think a reference to the Michigan-Minnesota game this weekend, the Little Brown Jug game, because that was in 1903, something like that. Michigan went up to Minnesota I think Michigan went up to Minnesota and did not trust the drinking water situation, so they brought their own jug of water, or they purchased a jug of water up there and then left it at the field and said, "Will you send it?" And they said, "Why don't you come back next year and win it?" And so now it's a trophy because college football's history is extremely weird.
No, there's the Floyd of Rosedale is a fantastic story as well. That go ahead and Google that. Not now. After the team arrives at 8:45.
Yeah. Mark Fetter says 38-10 Ohio State. Jeremy says if the weather's good, 49-17, so I hope it's not windy. It's windy tonight. I don't think it's going to be windy. It does not sound like weather should be a major factor.
Do you want me to try to produce the show again? Do you want to go ask the man in the vest what time the bus is getting here?
What?
Tim, what time are the buses getting here?
Time of the bus is getting here in about 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
Okay, we've been told 8 minutes. Sources of the program.
I think within 8 minutes.
Within 8 minutes.
So it's 1 to 8 minutes.
Let's made that up. My last communique was they were on the ground.
Yes. So that we are 30 minutes. We are at D-Day plus 30 minutes right now in terms of estimated arrival time.
That was deductive reasoning on my part.
We have no answers for you.
Yes, we have no answers for you yet. Perhaps soon. Christopher Sauer says 41-13 Buckeyes.
Two field goals or a missed extra point?
I'm going to say 2 field goals.
And Jaden Fielding should be kicking field goals.
Correct.
Austin Snyder most likely doing kickoffs.
Yes, but that was a little bit still TBD. Just to reiterate the status of Tyleik Williams, which we are hoping to have an update on in a matter of minutes or hours, depending on when the team arrives. As of Wednesday evening, when the last time we got a chance to talk to Ryan Day, he said Tyleik Williams had practiced on Wednesday. Gonna, sort of evaluate how that all went, how that looked after practice, how he looked in practice on Thursday, and then whenever they get here, if and when the team arrives, I'm gonna have to add a question mark to the title of this show. Ohio State Football Live.
No promises.
Buckeyes arrive in Michigan.
Now, Pete Thamel did tweet out that Tyleik has been cleared. He tweeted that out earlier today.
Yeah.
It is cleared, expected to play. Oh, there's a cop. There's a police.
Okay.
State highway
There
patrol.
is.
Oh, here
All
we
right.
go. All right.
So here we go.
Here we go. We're going to pass this off to Tom. Kevin's going to sit in and click in Tom.
And I'm going to make sure that this show goes well.
We're going to hold on until at least they get
Oh yeah.
to the.
Oh yeah. God.
Kevin, how you doing?
Doing okay. Let me make sure we got this.
So
Well,
we got
my prediction is 42-13, so close to Christopher Sauer's there. I do remember my prediction. I looked it up a little earlier. I also put mine in on Tuesday.
well, that's pretty fancy of you guys. Again, I went 34-13.
Hater.
And as we watch the buses come around, waiting to see Ryan Day will come out with. He's usually one of the first ones out, and then all the players out of all of the other buses will pile through. We'll punch it over to Tom, and then you can watch it. And we'll probably go 2 screens in a bit once the buses get here. But we're almost there. We have almost made it. People are happy to see you, Kevin.
I know. Doreen, thank you, Doreen. Everybody else who has been happy to see me.
I think it was just Doreen.
Well, that's fine. I didn't know that my text messages were open, so you're reading all my private communications. You sons of bitches.
We've also been sending some. So
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
I have no game, so that might be for the best. We got Wolverine, Gage. Can we also agree that Notre Dame sucks? I think that is there. All right, we're going to punch this up. And we're going to punch ourselves out here in a second as soon as they get them. The first bus has driven well beyond where everybody is standing. So, I mean, it is comical. They are having to run around. We'll put them up here full in a second as 1, 2, 3, 4 buses at least.
Thank you, Adam King.
Yes.
Adam King.
We're going to tell them that his non-compete is void. All right, we're going to put this up so Tom's running all of this here for the next couple minutes.
Don't worry about it.
Ryan, first road game of the season. What's it like to be in East Lansing? How ready is the team?
Yeah, we had a good day of preparation, good week of preparation, and got a long day tomorrow, but good to get going, get on the road, be with just the guys, and looking forward to get on the field tomorrow, playing against a team that's playing well, and certainly our guys want to get back on the field and they'll get their first game in a Big Ten environment.
I know you have a veteran team. I would think first road game wouldn't rattle these guys too much with the roster you have.
Well, I think a lot of these guys have played a lot of football, so that is what it is. But that being said, we still got to handle the environment, got to handle the elements, and but that's playing football in the Big Ten.
Right. How Michigan State concerns you tomorrow?
Well, I think that they're playing good football, and they have a new kind of invigorated team, new staff, so you can see that they're playing hard, and so this is going to be like any other Big Ten game. You got to take care of the football, run the ball, stop the run.
Is Tyleik going to play tomorrow?
Pregame night changed at the hotel, basically now that you're the true head coach, if you follow my drill.
Not much has changed in terms of our
Yeah.
routine. A little bit different on a night game. We've changed up a couple little things here and there, but most of it's the same.
And is Tyleik going to play tomorrow? Tyleik Williams?
Tyler, he's available.
Okay.
He's available. Yep.
Thanks,
Yep.
Thanks,
man.
Thanks, Matt. You were just listening to Ryan Day live. So the agenda tonight, the Buckeyes are going inside for
I did not hear anything that Ryan Day had to say.
I did not either.
I believe Tyleek is here, but we'll get back. Tom will come back, tell us what he said, assuming he could hear it.
Yeah.
But hopefully you guys all heard
they
it.
don't turn off the diesel engines at that point. But I'm going to tag Tom back in, so I apologize for all of my fans out there. But here's Tom.
Yes, sorry, both of you. We'll try and have him on longer next time.
I did not hear anything that Ryan Day had to say.
Okay, so here the short version of what Ryan Day had to say. Hopefully, did folks at home get to hear Ryan
Sounds
Day?
like it.
Okay, good. Yes. It's just me. Tim said he said he'll play.
Okay.
I'm going to correct him. He said he's available. Now,
there you go.
He's available is one of those things that it's a little bit of a Rorschach test thing. It's like, why does that answer look like my parents fighting? Well, he's available.
Right.
It means he can play. Does it mean he will play? It means he can play.
Well, and if he doesn't play, then it's like, well, why is he available and not playing?
Right. And the answer is, well, it's a precautionary thing, and we felt he might benefit for another week of rest. So he's here. He can play. That's not as definitive as an answer. I just want to make clear on that. Other than that, it was a lot of just kind of.
Anybody else missing?
No, we have no indication of anyone else missing. I was trying to look for kickers. I saw Jaden Fielding is here. I didn't see Joe McGuire. I'm sure Joe McGuire's here. I did see Nick McLarty, so they brought presumably two punters.
Somebody else saw Nick McLarty as well.
I did not see Aaron Nolan. Me not seeing them does not mean that they didn't get here. There's 5 buses, and people could have gotten off of buses 3 and 4, and I didn't see.
And
them.
you're at 1.
I'm at 1. I went to the very head of the line because that Ryan Day is always on the front seat of bus 1, so that's where he gets off, and that's where if you're going to talk to him, that's where you are as well. So I did not see a lot of these guys come off, but doesn't mean they're not here. Quinshon Judkins can confirm he's here.
Okay,
Will
good.
Howard can confirm he's here. some big pieces. Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau both here. Denzel Burke here. So
Emeka Egbuka, I like
Emeka
that.
Egbuka, yes. A lot of good news for Ohio State fans in terms of everyone being there. Yes, let's give a shout out to James Laurinaitis and his wife Shelley and the birth of their son Maverick.
He is
Uh,
here.
Laurinaitis is here.
Laurinaitis.
Okay, yeah. I assume Maverick is probably occupied. Other than that, yeah, there is Ryan Doss saying got to cool down those turbos on those diesels. Yes, the bus is now just sitting here and idling because this isn't even a Buckeye Weekly show. Why?
Nah, I don't know.
They're confused on what
We could
which
split
show
the
this
show.
is. Yeah. Drowsy Dragon says saving Tyler Williams for Iowa, and that is a possibility. We'll see. Do you think he plays?
Well,
This is me asking you the question because I can sort of see the answer being take another week, and I can sort of see the answer being let him play a little bit but limit it.
if he does play, it kind of goes against a little bit of what we've heard
Yeah,
in terms of Iowa being a target. So
Yeah.
if he does play, I think that's good news. It's kind of like the you combine the Cody Simon Donovan Jackson thing, where Cody Simon was good enough to play and he was back to 100. Donovan Jackson wasn't quite, so it just depends on both of those guys were available, and Donovan Jackson was available-ish
Yeah.
and didn't play the first two games. So it's do you need him? If they need him, maybe that's one of those things where be on call,
yeah,
but maybe you won't play.
yeah. And Tim said they flew there, right? Did they even drive anywhere anymore? They did fly today. I think there is an NCAA like prescribed radius in which if it's small, a shorter distance than X, 200 miles or something like that, that they drive one way. They drive one way to Ann Arbor every year. That they do every year. Well, every year they play there.
Right.
East Lansing might be far enough outside that radius that they don't have to do that. I know they fly to Indiana, and Indiana is probably about the same distance as.
And if they played
East
at
Lansing.
Bowling Green, they would drive.
Yeah, well, and that's the reason they don't want to drive all the way up there.
Right.
So that's the reason they won't ever play at Bowling Green. So yes, Ryan Dawes says, "Wow, McClarty is tall." Yes, that can confirm. Extremely big dude. Div Jack wants to know how many of the quarterbacks traveled. I saw Lincoln Keenholz.
Okay.
I saw Will Howard. I saw. Well, I didn't see Julian saying. I don't know that I saw Devin Brown, and I don't think I saw Aaron Nolan. But that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean they didn't travel. That means I wasn't looking when they got off. They might have gotten off the bus while I was interviewing Ryan Day, or they might have gotten off of a different bus.
Yeah, and we've got, like I said, 5 buses lined up, 4 or 5 buses lined up, and guys getting off on all of them. Now, the fact that Lincoln Keenholz is here, he's the scout team quarterback.
Right.
And so that means Julian Sayin is here. But, I don't know too much going on to see everybody. And you may see everybody, but you don't take account of everybody.
Yeah. Okay. I think we are through the questions now. So are we ready to wrap it up?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Everyone off camera is nodding enthusiastically that it's time to wrap it up. So, and that will also allow the bus drivers to drive off and not have to sit here idling this whole time. So we thank you guys all for joining us. We'll let you know, first of all, before you go, hit that thumbs up. That will help other folks find these shows and other shows. Something else that will help you and other folks find these shows is subscribing to our channel, youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. Also hitting that bell to get notified when we go live. We are planning to do a live show on Saturday morning. We don't have an exact time yet, but sometime during the college game day type window.
We just have to find some buses.
We have to, we got to find, buses, air horns, mowers, leaf blowers. We'll figure it out. But hair dryers might work in a pinch. But go ahead and sort of pencil us in for a live show Saturday morning before we leave the hotel. We'll have plenty of content from the Michigan State campus throughout the afternoon in the lead up to the game. And then, of course, pregame show, postgame show after the game, live show, all at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. Plenty of content coming for you as well all day long at BuckeyeHuddle.com. If you want to get access right now, this would be a great time to sign up for membership. We're running our $4.99 flash sale for your first month. Get access for a full month for $4.99. Access to our full team of insiders. Kevin, Tony, and I cover the team. Mark covering recruiter. Our whole team of X's and O's gurus there, making you a smarter football fan, all at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Sign up for that first membership, first month for $4.99. That'll get you the Michigan State game, the Iowa game, the Oregon game,
And the bye week.
the week off. Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of stuff, and even into the week after that, which will be Nebraska. So a lot of interesting stuff going to happen in that month. We would love to have you there with us at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Enjoy all of it with us there. That will do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We will talk to you tomorrow.